Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm going to start working with the newest devotional kit from ByTheWell4God. This is my piece. I do have an unboxing of this kit. I will link it down below for you guys. However, I do believe it is currently sold out. It sold out of the first run. They did a second run on it, and that run sold out as well. So I'm not quite sure that they'll be bringing it back. They may be bringing it back, but it'll be later on in the month, I believe. But I did still want to hop on and share with you guys some of the different ways that I'm working through the kit, because obviously tons of you are working in this kit as well. So as some of you guys may have noticed in my recent videos, I have chaos right now. My life is a complete mess and stressful and chaotic and crazy. And so I sat down and was looking over my kits, and I did not finish the last month's kit, A Heart at Rest. I do plan on going back and working through that devotional content, but I'm trying to streamline things a little bit for me and do what's healthy for me. So as I sat down with this kit and was looking at some of the things, I decided that I was going to just do SNAIL cards for this kit. I'm not going to be journaling in my Bible. I have this SNAIL box from Precious Memory boxes, I believe is what it is. I'll link them down below. And I've had random cards in here, but I pulled those out, put them in a different box, and this is just going to be dedicated to this kit. And I made that decision. I was really kind of battling with that decision because I didn't want to let you guys down and not have Bible journaling processes, but I went into deep prayer and just God said, no, it's okay. You can do SNAIL cards. And to further confirm that decision for me, I hopped online real quick to print out the digital papers that you can pick up from the ByTheWell4God shop. These are separate from the kit, so you can purchase these separate, and they were full of SNAIL cards. So I just felt like, okay, this is confirmation that this is okay to do for this kit. So here's a look at the printables that just released. So you can purchase this, and in the printables you get several sheets, and I've done a couple different things here just so you can see some options. So you have some different patterns here that you can cut out shapes from. You can cut your cards out of this. You can cut tabs. You can use this as layering pieces, tip-ins, that kind of thing. And then there's these patterns here. Now these patterns also come full size this way, but I went ahead and just printed 2 to a page to show you that you can scale it down and then have a smaller scale to work with as well. So I printed some of those. In addition to that, you get a page that has a bunch of SNAIL sized cards, and these are really awesome. So they print out at 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, so a little bit bigger. Then that way, if you've got the SNAIL dies or a punch or something like that, then you can cut them out from these squares, or leave these just how they are and use them as tip-ins, journaling cards, that kind of thing. But I like that they did them a little bit bigger. That way, if you do have one of the dies or something like that, you could go ahead and cut that from there and then have your holes. So I have several of those that I'm using today. Sorry, I've got allergies and apparently I'm losing my voice. The other page that you get has a whole bunch of these library cards, which is super awesome. A few months ago, they had the His Story kit. They did like a little mini kit, and there was this add-on option that were these printed library cards, and these sold out. I don't think they're available any longer, and so I love that they have this option in that printable that you can purchase. So they come with several different colors. I'll be using a couple of them today, and they are nice and small and easy to use for journaling or even just layering pieces behind your title and things like that. But I'm going to be creating little pockets in my SNAIL card and using these for journaling spots. So there's that. If you need some additional SNAIL cards, if you're going to be doing something similar to what I'm doing, they do have the option to buy these, I can't remember what they're calling them, FaithDex pads or something like that. They are essentially a pack of cards, and they are sized that you can punch the holes and use these as SNAIL cards, or you can just use these as journaling cards and tip-ins and things like that. So if you're wanting to do something similar with this kit, then you can still pick these up. They are still in the shop, and they do have a lot of the stamp sets and things like that still available. They just don't have the kit in its entirety available any longer. So I'm going to set aside some of these things here and show you what I'm working on. I'm working on day 1, where we're talking about transient peace and kind of this introduction to this idea that true heart peace can only be found in Christ. It's not going to be found from anything here on earth. So I did some response to the prompt there, I'm just reminding myself that peace doesn't come from visiting the ocean, eating my favorite food, going shopping, watching Netflix. True heart peace comes from Christ only, and spending time with Him and drawing closer to Him. And so that is what our focus is going to be today. So what I have here are a couple of the printable SNAIL cards. I've already gone ahead and cut them out. And since I don't print double-sided, I do print on pretty inexpensive cardstock, I am going to double these up. And another reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to use this to create a little pocket. So I'm only going to use adhesive on 3 edges, and then I'm going to leave the top open so that I can slide a little card into the top and have like a little pocket for more private journaling. So I'm going to have a title on the front, the verse on the back, and then my journaling and things can get tucked inside the pocket. I can still use all of the fun embellishments that come in the kit, the stickers. I'm going to show you how I'm going to use the watercolors, lots of fun things that I can still use from the kit, just in a smaller format, and it's a little less intimidating with everything that I have going on. And I'm sure a lot of us are kind of experiencing the same thing as we're working through maybe a 30-day of thankfulness type project or gratitude documented, something like that. I want to encourage you that you can still do both projects. You just might need to change it up for time's sake. So let me go ahead and put you on fast forward, and we will put this card together.
Okay, so I'm going to start by actually punching the holes in the cards. I like to do this first, that way I'm just sure that none of my embellishments or anything like that are going to cover up the area where the holes go. This is the punch from Heidi Swapp. It is like no longer made, hard to get a hold of, so you may have to just cut your own holes or use a die or try to find one of those punches. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the punches right now. But then I took those 2 cards to my sewing machine and just sewed around 3 edges. And then you can see I went in with my corner chomper and rounded the corners. I probably should have rounded the corners before I sewed it, but that's okay. Lots of times in this video, I do things in not the most efficient order, so I'll point those things out as I do it. But I just thought the stitching would be a little bit nicer detailed than just adding adhesive. So I also took that purple card there, the library card, and doubled it up with another library card so that it's front and back. And then now I'm going to work on my titles. So I've pulled out some vellum, and I'm using a combination of the clear alpha stickers and then the alpha stickers that come with the kit. So I'm layering down the clear alpha and then slightly offsetting the solid alpha just to kind of give it some, like a shadow or some dimension and interest. And this does take a little bit of time, going 1 alpha at a time. This card overall took a lot longer than I anticipated, just because I don't do a whole lot of SNAIL cards, so just trying to get in the swing of things, just trying to get a feel. I really wanted to use like everything. You know, when you first do your first entries for a kit, I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to want to use like every single product in the kit. So that's what happened here. I'm going to use a ruler to just tear the vellum. I've really been enjoying this one here from Tim Holtz. It's a clear ruler, and it has all those grid lines, so you can make sure that your borders are even if you're doing this technique, or if you're, you know, drawing a line or doing your journaling lines or something like that. So I did link this ruler down below. I've had it in my stash for a while. I just tend to reach for my T ruler, but this particular ruler is great for techniques like I'm doing here. So I want that torn edge, but I don't want an unruly torn edge, so the ruler kind of helps with that. I also added some of those tile alphas, so my title says Transient Peace, which is the title of today's devotional. And I'm also going to layer this piece up on some a brown paper bag. This is just one of my kids' lunch bags. I've just been leaving trash on my desk in my craft space and using it. So I found that this is also comes together pretty quickly when you're have product just at your fingertips, and I happen to have a lot of product out on my desk for gratitude documented right now, and so I'm going to incorporate some of those pieces into these cards as well. To adhere the vellum to the brown paper bag, I just use my tiny attacher. Vellum is kind of tricky because you can see adhesive through it, so another reason I like these SNAIL cards is you can use things like tiny attachers and foam adhesive and distress inks and some of those products that are a little bit more tricky to use in a journaling Bible. I did go ahead and layer up one of the clear stickers underneath the title piece here, and then I am going to pop it up with some foam tape. Just to add a little bit of dimension. This card overall is a little bit darker than I usually work. I usually like to work with lots of whites and negative spaces, and so by adding a little bit of foam behind here, adding dimension kind of helps things stand out from the background, and I don't know, just kind of just add some interest and more texture to it. So there's a look at the front of the card. Now I'm going to work on some additional leaves. I love that floral tab piece that comes in the kit, but I wanted some additional leaves. So I have these leaf dies. These are from Coco and Reno. I'll link their website down below. You can see if they're still available down there. And then I'm going to use the watercolors to create a background to cut these leaves out of. So I have a scrap piece of Canson watercolor paper. Everything will be linked down below for you. I sprayed the paper, and then now I'm just dropping some of the different greens and bluish green watercolors from the kit onto that paper. I want it really textured, really loose. And so this is a way to incorporate the watercolors if you're working on SNAIL cards, or you can make your SNAIL cards out of watercolor paper, and then you could use the watercolors as well. Just keep in mind, if you print the printables from an inkjet printer, you don't want to add water to them because the images will dissolve. It doesn't play nice, so just keep that in mind. So I'm just layering up those colors, adding browns and greens and, splashes and splatters, just to have lots of texture on there. And then I took those over to my die cutting machine, ran them through, and now I have these fun leaf elements that I can add to this die cut piece. So I will have my die cutting machine and all that linked down below. If you have questions about die cutting and what all it takes to do that, I will link a Tip Tuesday down below for you guys if you're interested in that. Now at this point I decided that I wanted a more vintage look, and I should have done this before I adhered everything together. So I'm taking some, is this frayed burlap? It's probably frayed burlap Distress Oxide ink with a mini ink blending tool, and just going in and adding some of the ink around the edges. If I had done this as I went along, it would have been a lot easier, but I'm making it work. This is also a great way to make printables not look like printables. I don't know about you, but when I print something, I've got the white core of the cardstock, and the colors kind of come out a little flat sometimes. And so by adding inks like Distress inks or Distress Oxide inks, something like that, just kind of jazzes it up a little bit and makes it so it's not as noticeable that it's a printable. Not everybody's bothered by that. I know, I'm kind of picky, but I just like how it adds just a little bit of something to these cards and kind of pulls them together a little bit nicer, I think. So I'm going through and just adding this to the edges of everything, pretty much. I added it to the edges of the vellum and the brown paper bag and this card. I'm going to add it to this die cut pieces, just a little bit. I am going to add it to the back side as well, just so that it's not that stark white if you turn the card over. And for these die cut pieces, it's much easier to add ink to them if you put them back into the negative space that you cut them out of, and that keeps you from accidentally, bending them or tearing something. I just find that it's a little bit easier to work with that way. And you can see it just really takes them up a notch. I did pull out some gold acrylic ink, and I'm going to add a little bit of gold splatter on here. Everything was just feeling a little bit monotone, a little bit dull, just because I was using lots of the same colors and same tones, and so I wanted to add a little splash of metallic in there for some added interest. So I added that to just about everything there and made sure it was good and dry before I started touching things. So now I can start adhering the die cuts to the top of my card. Remember, this card is going to go slipping into that pocket, and it's going to be where I add my journaling. I do that off camera later on. So this is going to act kind of like a tab, but also an embellishment at the top of the card. So it almost kind of hides the journaling a little bit. So I'm just using some dry adhesive to adhere that to the top of the card, and just kind of nestling things together. The nice thing about SNAIL is you don't really have a lot of width to work with, but you can really go as tall as you want to. So you can add a lot of embellishments to the top of your cards, and it's going to still fit into your SNAIL box. Anywhere where I have adhesive exposed, I just use my EK Success powder tool, and that takes away any stickiness that might be exposed from my crazy tape that I was using there. So now I can slip that in, and now it looks like this fun little flower popping out of the top. I love how that came together. I am so excited about those floral tabs this month. They're super cute. I took some more of the brown paper bag over to my typewriter and typed out the verse, and then I'm just going to adhere that to the back of the card. Really simple. And so there's a look at the finished card. So I hope that gives you some inspiration for a different way to work through these kits. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to everything that I mentioned today, everything that I used. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to hit that bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos from me. I'm back to a regular posting schedule, so I'm trying to get videos up pretty regularly for you guys, and hopefully I'll have more process videos for this kit since I'm doing them a little bit simpler. So until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.